Hey, what's up, guys? King J coming to you live from hell once again. And I'm going to jump right into it. This video, I'm going to talk about the secret source inside your mind. Something that I've been talking about. It could be referred to as the secret. It could be referred to as a communication with the divine, the universe, however you want to see it. But there's a particular philosophy, and it's based on a book by Maxwell Maltz called Cybernetics. And now I've been hearing this book in audio form a little bit every day, and I've just been going through it, and I just want to talk a little bit about my thoughts about it. So basically, the idea of cybernetics is that our brains are wired like computers, and they work. And I talked about this in my previous video. It works for whatever you believe is going to happen in your life, in your reality. So if your brain feels attractive, if it feels competent, if it feels secure, your brain is going to take that in, and it's an input-output system. Whatever you're inputting into your brain, it's going to put that output, and you're going to see that reflected in your reality. So to put it into simple terms, what you believe is what comes back to you, right? So the thing about these concepts is these beliefs are rooted in childhood. So they start at a very young age, and they're designed in a way to protect you. We have limits to keep us away from trouble. We have limits of the mind so that we're not in compromising situations. It's normal, but a lot of the limits that we put on ourselves are what holds us back. It's the only thing holding us back. And we like to tell ourselves it's the circumstances that we're in, but it's never the circumstance. The only reason the circumstances are there to begin with are because of your beliefs, right? You can't change the way you were raised. You can't change the childhood you had. You have to understand your childhood and change your perspective about it. You have to look back and say, all those things that already happened. The mindset that I have right now is reflective of that, and it doesn't have to stay that way forever. I don't have to be limited. I could understand if I feel insecure, if I feel lost, if I feel that I'm never going to make money because of this, but that's all just an excuse. The truth is that it starts with you. Nobody's going to come knocking on your door and say, you're worthy of validation, you're worthy of money, you're worthy of prosperity, of abundance. No, that's all going to come from your inner self. And when you literally say, I'm deserving of all this, your brain is going to say, oh, wow, we're deserving of all this. Let's do everything in our power to bring us that. And your brain will just literally start going. That's the core foundation. Now, in terms of practices that this book talks about, it talks about the theater of the mind, where you spend like 10 to 15 minutes a day practicing out scenes in your head of how you want a particular thing to go. And you look at it from the outside view first, looking at yourself on a movie screen, basically, and you just act out a scene. You say what you think the other person would say, or you practicing a skill perfectly, and you just go through it in a practice mode, a literal practice run of your reality, and you do that a little bit more and a little bit more, and you'll get it right, and then keep practicing the right version, the way that you want it to go. And then when you're placed in the real circumstance and the real deal, it's gonna be reflective. It's literally gonna be manifested because you've practiced it so much. Practice makes perfect, but you're not just practicing a skill, you're practicing a belief. You're changing your core beliefs. You're not feeling like, oh, I could fail. You're going to say, I can't fail. I already know how this is going to go. You already feel that secure. You feel that confident, and then you just go make it real. It literally becomes real. And when you face some sort of adversity or some sort of failure, you can't have this shock because that's being attached to an outcome. Success can only come if you work past every single failure. So you cannot put the importance of something like, this is my only chance, because then that literally becomes your only chance. You can't put something like, oh my God, this relationship is the only thing that is happening right in my life, because then that's your reality, right? So, and then you can't even enjoy the fruits of your labor because you're going to always worry about losing it. Right? When you're worried about losing something, that's putting too much importance on it. And it and it creates resistance. So you sabotage it. You ruin it right there. You can't just enjoy it. You know what I mean? You're not thinking, I need water, I'm parched. You're not constantly overthinking about water. You just go get water and you drink it, right? You just tie your shoes. And that's one thing that the book talks about. Practicing psycho-cybernetics is as easy as waking up and tying your shoes, because it has nothing to do with changing your outside physical. It has everything to do with the mental work within you. You have to reinvigorate your self-concept. And the funny thing is, the way that this came about was this guy was a plastic surgeon, and he noticed that some people would get some sort of cosmetic surgery done and it would change their personality. He noticed that prisoners who had scars and had them removed were less likely to go back to a life of crime because they felt like they were a new person. They noticed that people with some sort of disformity, as soon as it was removed, they felt much more confident and they were able to go and be themselves and feel. But then he noticed that there was a lot of people who had the opposite. Somebody had a nose that they thought was ugly and they changed it, and they would look in the mirror and still see the same thing. They feel that it only changed slightly or even not at all, and they just kept living that same life because he started to realize it has very little to do with the external, has everything to do with the internal. That's why it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, because it's just the change of self-concept. You look in the mirror and you decide how you feel about something. You decide what is wrong with you. If you looked in the mirror with eyes of love, you wouldn't see anything wrong with you. You would see folds and flab and this and that, and you would say, that's me, and that's perfectly fine. I'm happy. But then when you are in another plane of thinking, you say, well, I have an idea of what I wish I looked like. And that's not far away from me. That's within me. The power to attain that is within me. So then you go and you focus on being the change that you seek. So it's all psycho-cybernetics, and many people apply this without even knowing the psychology of it, without even knowing the terminology of it. It's just how people live their life. But a lot of times, and the book speaks about a lot of strong athletes that use this without knowing it, but once they finally figure it out and read the book, it's almost like their power is like, it's completely in control because they know that it's within them. It has nothing to do with the circumstances of the game or the task at hand. It has everything to do with the belief system. So when you believe that you could achieve anything, your brain is going to take that and say, we can achieve anything. There's nothing stopping me. And you'll literally just go through the steps with ease. You'll go through the hardship. You'll go through the training. You'll go through the failure with ease. And a perfect example is one of my favorite boxers, Canelo Alvarez. He faced Mayweather. He wasn't really ready for that, and he lost. It was his first and only loss. And instead of taking that and saying, my perfect score, my perfect career is over, he just said, okay, I wasn't ready for that. That's totally fine. Now I know what to do. I'm going to be better next time. And now he's a complete champion. Right? He doesn't let that affect him. See, you are the only obstacle, and you're the only person that lets circumstances affect them. If you don't care about any of the circumstances, you'll be able to enjoy everything about your life. The way that I've been looking at it is, I get everything I want because I want everything I get. Anything that comes my way doesn't bother me because I won't let it bother me. And you see, there's a difference between saying you don't give a shit and actually not giving a shit. Because you can say you don't give a shit, you can hope that you don't give a shit, but you know inside if you really give a shit or not. And if you really didn't give a shit, you would never even speak it. You would never even say, I really don't give a shit. You just wouldn't even give a shit. It wouldn't even need to be said, right? If you were truly confident, you would never need to say good things about yourself to anybody. You would just feel them and they'd be noticed. And that is the mindset that this helps you get into. And it's literally the same thing as a mindset for manifestation, because you're making things happen. you're conscious. It's conscious manifestation, because you understand your brain is like a computer. It does the task that you give to it. It's unstoppable. So therefore you become unstoppable, because the main thing that has changed for me, that has changed my perspective, is understanding that all this is happening whether we're aware of it or not. And it's all creating our reality whether we're aware of it or not. So if you're aware of it, you might as well use it to your advantage. That's the entire purpose of it. That is it, and it's a divine thing. That's a gift. That's God's gift to humans. That's why our brains are the way that they are. They're not limited. The only limits that are in them are the limits that we set for ourselves. So when you start to realize that, you let yourself become limitless. So it's a book that I would definitely recommend. And it has got a lot of examples. It's got plenty of examples, and those are there to reinforce these ideas. And one of my favorite ideas that the book has is that, and it's something that my boy was talking about, where he's like, you're sleeping with affirmations. It's like you're brainwashing yourself. But something that the book actually mentioned is you're dehypnotizing yourself, because anytime you believed something that somebody else told you, you let that person define you. And it's almost the same thing as them hypnotizing you or brainwashing you. You let other people's influence and ideas shape who you are. When you realize that you're the person that creates your own reality and the ball's in your court, you get to set the rules. You get to change the circumstances. You have all the power over yourself, over your mindset. And anytime those things come out in reality, right? Those limiting things, somebody tells you something you don't like or whatever, you realize I'm manifesting that, and it's a test. That is a test to see if that's really within me or not. Because if somebody said something and you didn't believe that it was already true, it would never trigger you. And you may not want to believe it's true. You may want to prove them wrong. You may want to prove yourself wrong. But it's not about being right. It's about accepting that belief, understanding that it's there, and saying, I have the power to let that go, because that belief doesn't serve me. That's a limited belief. Get rid of it. We are focusing completely on ourselves, loving ourselves. We're pumped. We're excited. We're ready to go. We're jet fuel, and the world is a human steel beam, and we're jetting towards it. Right? Then nothing can stop you. The only thing that has ever stopped you before and can ever stop you is yourself. It's a subconscious thing that you can be conscious of. And when you realize that dynamic, you're able to put the power in your own hands. Nobody can define you, just you. It's a really good book. I definitely recommend it. The more that I go through it, the more that I'll pick up more things, and then I'll share more of it on the channel. I think it's the same thing as The Secret, and it doesn't have to be a secret. We're all abiding by these rules anyway. You might as well learn them, and you might as well enjoy it. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. You deserve it. I deserve it. That's the truth. So, tell me what you think. Have you read the book? Is there any other books similar that you'd recommend? I'm definitely open. I got the time. I'm down. Let's do it. This is a journey, and I'm very excited to be on it. I'm a choo-choo train chugging right now. All right, so tell me what you think of the video. If you have any conflicting ideas, debunking, whatever you want to do it in the comments below. I'm down to have any sort of dialogues about any of this stuff. This is fun for me. I'm enjoying this process. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe and tap the notification bell. Thank you very much. Let's stay psycho. Let's stay cybernetic. Peace out.